Hey VR painters, welcome back to another tutorial on this palette. I'm going to go over all the brushes. Last tutorial, if you missed that, go back and hit that up. I'll have it in the link below, but that's going to be more on the tools and stuff in the kind of the beginner mode. This is more brushes and, you know, let's just dive into it because there's a lot to go over. So let's get in, and if you could, you know, subscribe, hit the bell. Let us know how we're doing. Give us some feedback because I really want to get better at this. So the more you guys hit me up, the better it's going to be. All right, so let's get started. We got our easel here, and again, your thumb moves it around and it spins based on that. And at the end of the tutorial, if you stick around, I'll go over the color palette, which is really quick and easy, and you guys are smart enough to pick up on it and get it. So let's go into beginner mode because I don't want to confuse anybody. So now we're in beginner mode, which is just your basics. We went over this in the last tutorial. Moving on from that, now we're going into brushes. So let's start off with the first brush, and I'm just going to go quick through them. You guys can take your time, play with them all you want, because that's kind of like, you know, your thing. You find out what works for you and what works for your art and what you're doing. I just want to help you make really beautiful stuff. So as you can see, it's just your basic paint. You know, it looks cool. It's just, this is so wild. And you can make a portrait, you can do whatever you want with this. It's up to you, you're the creator, you can make it happen. So there's that one, and then there's ink, which is very similar, same deal, but it just doesn't have that chunky paint look to it. It looks a lot better in the VR experience. So let's go on to the next. Then we have thicker paint, which just gives that more of a bevel, I guess, to it. And it gives it more shadow, so it just feels like it comes out. This is good for if you were to make some bark or something like that on a tree. You can just create trees that way too. A lot of people like doing that. There's other ways to make a tree. I have another tutorial on trees. I'll put that in the link below, and you can figure out how to make a tree pretty quickly in this. So anyway, that being said, let's move on to wet paint. Wet paint is very similar again, but it's got that shiny gloss to it. Not much different than the other paints, but you know, use to your discretion. It's up to you fully. And then marker, you know, it's just got like a thick, this is good for like if you were, let's say, in a different world and you just want to give it, you know, a cartoon feel or something. I don't know. Again, it's up to you as an artist to play with it. And what else do we got? We got tapered marker, same deal. It just tapers off at the end there, you see. So, what else? We have pinched marker, which is very similar to tapered, but it pinches it in the end. And it's almost like calligraphy, you know. This is kind of the first thing I started playing with when I was real little, playing with paint brushes and everything. Calligraphy is very technical and hard to deal with, and my mom kind of wrapped me into that very early, so calligraphy is fun. And that would be more of like black paint and calligraphy, you know. But anyhow, next we have highlighter. Highlighter is really cool because you're not really highlighting much, but you can find something with this, you know, and see how it, even when it passes through, you can see that the density thickens up, and again, you can just change all your colors to your brushes. Then you also have flat, which I use a lot sometimes when it's just, I want it to look like paper or whatever. When we go into guides, which is in, I'll give an information bubble that pops up right there, and that's going to be more of a video dedicated to the guides and things. It's more in the advanced mode, but check those out. It's gonna also be a video you can see. So yeah, taper flat, pinch flat, just similar to the marker, you know, just to see what it looks like. It's, you know, you can see that it's just flat, you know. And then we got this one, pinched flat, same deal. It tapers in the front and in the back end. So that's kind of cool. And like I said, you guys can find, you know, good use and fun into this. And if you hit the bell, you'll see the new videos I have coming out and the new things that we're gonna have in the future. So please stick with us because I'm just gonna keep making stuff. I have a city series and everything. Here's some animated stuff, and I just love this light. I use this all the time. And if you combine this with your ruler, like you learned in the last tutorial, you can make a lightsaber. You know, I'm big into Star Wars, so, you know, you had to go there, and, you know, of course you gotta get the Sith too, you know. Anyway, you get the idea. So you can combine different things and kind of get creative as much as possible. And if you're new to this, it's just going to come very natural. And if you're an artist, you really start using old techniques in real art and things of that nature. But here's our fire. I showed this in the last tutorial as a little highlight to kind of get us into these brushes. So it's cool. You could do this in so many different ways. I've done this with water as waterfalls. So if you go into the blue and you come down with the fire, it looks more like a waterfall. You see that? So you also have like you can have like a lot of, you know, sculptures around and have that coming out, and it really just plays well. So there's that. And then also you could just as easily just throw your yellow in and you got fire. And, you know, change the different colors of fire to like red around it and then just white in the center, you know. Looks more like a flame. And I mean, it's up to you. You can go nuts with that. Then you got embers. Oh, let's bring that fire back. And embers is a really good one. So that kind of changes. And I forgot to mention in the beginning, I'm so sorry. You change the size with your thumb. So when you move it to the left, it goes small. You move it to the right, they get bigger. And that goes for every single one of these brushes. So I'm gonna make it just kind of in the middle there. And then you just bring it up. And they kind of just feather out the way the embers normally do when there's a fire. So it really makes this authentic and real. And you can change it up again too. And work with water by changing it to a light blue, and you go up and you got bubbles, you know. But we do have bubbles, it's like light bubbles, you know, or whatever. I was in Dominican Republic, and in their waters over there, they've got some bioluminescence. It's so beautiful when you just push your hand through the water, and it looks like this when you do that in there. I know they have another spot in like India or something, but it's beautiful, and it just kind of looks like that. So anyway, so embers is fun. You could do a lot with that and change it up. And smoke, obviously, you know, go to a little bit of a gray, and you got your smoke feel. Change your size with your thumb, and you got big smoke, you know. And this is cool for smokestacks or just different things, but it has this element of animation to it where it kind of shifts, and it's so neat and it's so cool. I don't know, I really like using the smoke a lot. And you could just get creative with it and put it anywhere you want. So then snow, again, you know, it's kind of this cheesy looking snow, you know, but it kind of throws it all over into the atmosphere like I'm in a snow globe, you know. And maybe I'll do a tutorial on making a snow globe, because then we can stand in a snow globe. That'd be kind of cool, right? But that's, you know, something that might happen. But so yeah, you got snow, which is really rad. Now next, rainbow is really cool. You know, you can, and it's cool because rainbow is very disco. It's pretty cool, you know. I like that. That one's fun. I don't use it as much, and you know, you can just do cool stuff with it. And it's just remarkable what you can do with this 3D space, and you can walk around your art and play with these brushes and really stretch these brushes. Stars are pretty cool. Same deal. You just spread it, and it just kind of, they float out, and they just kind of twinkle for you. And then again, make them smaller. You have more control. Velvet ink is just like, kind of like the other brushes we started with, but you know, you can do different things with it, and you can kind of see it looks like marker mixed with paintbrush. So I think they're just giving you a little bit more of an option when you're trying to create and you're masterminding your piece of art. Then you have, this one's cool, the waveform. I did this on a tutorial on our atom, and that was kind of the atom when I made the atom. And then I used one of those guides again. That guide that's advanced stuff that we'll go over later. And then what else we got? We got splatter, which, you know, let's go creepy and weird with it and make it blood. Like a splatter blood. Get horror movies or whatever you want to do if you're into that thing. I'm not so much. I'm more into the animation and fun cartoony world. But you know, if you're into that horror and slasher stuff, you can make some cool stuff with this. So there's that. And then what else we got here? We've got so many little ones that we use. Duct tape. If you go to gray, you can make it really look like duct tape and make it a little larger. Sometimes I use this for roads, sidewalks, for duct tape too. You know, you want to wrap something with duct tape. Yeah, it's up to you. Always up to you here. And then paper, it's less shiny. I've used that on buildings before. I've used it. The texture just looks cool because when you move it, it kind of wraps like, you know, just like paper kind of would. It's really cool. And you just have to work it and try to get used to it. I'm not really going to get too far into that. Coarse bristles is pretty cool for doing, I use this a lot for grass and things, because you can just do this, or bushes, and you just use your little trigger to paint it down. And oh, ouch, I just stubbed my toe. It's hard to work in another world where you don't see the reality world. So anyway, yeah, that's, you use it for that. You can use it for bark if you go to a darker color. And in my tutorials, I kind of use the brushes and explain why I'm using them. So you can just watch those and learn a lot of these. But I just felt like it would be important to show you everything in one little spot so you can just go over it with me and then kind of do what you want with it. So yeah, it could be a branch or whatever. You can play with it. I also, for branches or for leaves on branches, I also do this kind of thing where I go really small. You go smaller with these, and you kind of do this thing, and it with a branch involved with it, it really looks like it's a full branch of leaves. So that's another little technique, and that's also in my tree tutorial. I go over that quite a bit. So let's move on here, and then Dr. Wiggles. This one's an interesting one. It kind of just has that paint look, but it moves. And that's what's so unique about just the VR experience in tilt brush, is the fact that there is animated paint. It's different than painting on you know, an iPad or painting on like a sketch pad of some sort. I mean, and also you're in virtual reality. I mean, let's get real. So we have also some electricity. So let's make it like blue. Tesla would be proud, because this is just super cool. I think this is what I used on the Atom, actually, tutorial, when I made the Atom, not the sound wave one. And speaking of sound waves, this, if you have music or whatever going through, you could actually visually have all this dance to your music by clicking here. But that is a whole nother tutorial in itself. It's kind of tricky to go over right now. Then you have streamers. You go big and you have like a few of them, like or you go thin to a small little brush, and then you have those. These are good for like if you're doing a planet and you want to do like a little ring around the planet. These are great for that. I'll have a tutorial on a whole, like, not really a solar system, but just a planet structure. So there's that. The hypercolor, this one's kind of, this is just crazy. It doesn't really matter what color you use. You can choose whatever color you want, but it just makes its colors. I think it focuses more on the color you choose, but it filters through all the colors, and it's very trippy, you know. And then bubbles again, like I was saying, you do some underwater stuff. A lot of people like doing fish. I've been seeing a lot of cool art coming from this. There's so many artists out there I've been watching, and they're so good. And it's like just using these fun techniques just builds it to that next level. And don't think it ends here. It goes into your computer, and you could put it into 3D software and start messing with it. You can even go as far as printing it out in 3D. So this is a really fun, tilt brush is just a lot of fun. It's a new push and advancement for us. The neon pulse is cool. We'll do like a pink, I guess. And you go like that. So pulses. This one I kind of should have used for the, you know, the neutron, or not neutron, the atom, sorry. But as my electrons, I should have did this because it would have looked really cool. Anyway, that's kind of it for that one. Also, this vinyl is a lot like the other brushes before, but it gives this like weird black outline, like it's, you know, like it's a cartoon of some sort. But I like to use this if I were to do like pencil shavings or something like that. Like if I get this color that's more, you know, like that. And then you can just do this little circle thing like that, or like a thicker version, and it looks like little pencil shavings. Like maybe a little one, another one. I don't know. You got creativity. You know what's up. And then you go the hyper grid, which is cool. I do this for a lot of space stuff. Like if I was making a spaceship and wanted like a little pad on it or something, or like a walkway or something. It's very kind of tricky to play with. But same concept applies. You want it bigger, you want it smaller, you know, and the color choice. You know, you get that for all of them. So there's those two. And let's see what else we got here. Just trying to get through these for you guys. The light wire, it's really cool because you can choose a color, and it only plays that color sometimes. Or close to it in that range, you know, or you just go white and it'll give you all the colors. But this is cool because this also for spaceships or something, you know, you again use your tools, go to your tools, get a straight edge, and then you got this cool like thing here, and you can make stuff like this, you know, and it looks like some sort of a structure of some sort with lights on it, you know. So this is just kind of fun, and it's something to keep in mind when you're trying to piece your different brushes together and piece your you know, piece your stuff in the world. And then here we go. What else we got? We got Chromatic Wave. That one's good. The Chromatic Wave is got this cool little like, I don't know, it's trippy, it kind of messes with your eyes a little bit, but this one's a lot of fun because you could find different places for this, and it's really up to you for creativity. And I'd love to see what you guys are doing with all these brushes and what you have made, because I plan on, you know, eventually pulling in a lot of your art and analyzing your art and talking about it. So let me take off a ruler. I always forget that. But these are like dots. That's the next thing, dots. And if you want to make a whole Pac-Man, you know, episode, you could do Pac-Man, and you do that, or you know, however you want to play with it. And this is very pressure sensitive too, where the harder you push down, the thin, you know, it's that in all the brushes. So that's the cool part, is there is pressure sensitivity to these triggers. So yeah, let's keep going, let's keep moving, because there's a lot of brushes to go through. I mean, look at all these they give you. And I mean, the creativity is endless. The petals is the next one. The petals, I'm gonna go green. I use this for grass and, well, petals. But it's really nice at like a pond to have all this grass come up, and yeah, so stay tuned to some of the tutorials. I use this quite a bit, and you'll see me use it in the tutorials. But yeah, next thing is icing. Icing's cool for like structures, You know, if you put the ruler on again with the icing and like a gray, it almost looks like a concrete pillar, you know. So you start building stuff like you're in the city, or you're in the city and you are by one of those yellow, you know, barriers for cars, and you got, boom, how easy was that? You know what I'm saying? So play with those. You could do so much more than just that. The icing can look like branches, like I've used it for trees. Again, going back to my tree tutorial, but if you use the pressure sensitivity and push, oops, again, I always forget my rulers. I'll get used to it, don't worry. Sorry for wasting your time. But pressure sensitivity again, and let's make it bigger. And you can get it to look more like a branch, and coming into it is the best I found. Let's see, I'm just making like this tree just by pressure sensitivity and using the icing. The icing's great for trees, and it's got that texture, see, of trees. So, well, bark anyway. I mean, you could go into that other one, the coarse bristles, add a little bit darker to it, and just cover it like this so it looks like bark falling off, or, you know, you can really detail stuff to your liking. So let's keep cruising on these. Tune is very similar to icing. It just gives it, you know, that Looney Tune feel where it's like a black outline to it. Then we have wire, which, you know, you get it thin enough with black, and you got, you know, wire. I'll use that in my city series where I'm making real true wires go from pole to pole when I do my electrical poles. And you could add the electric, see, like you start thinking and you're like, wow, I can do this, I can do that. It's fun. Then the next one's spikes. Spikes is cool. You make it big enough, you can see how it plays. And it just tapers the thickness of it. And if you look, it's got kind of this triangle feel to it, which if you're looking for like pillars of wood or something like that, it looks kind of cool. Looks like it could be a 2x4, 2x6, or 6x6, or whatever you want. Lofted is really what you want for that though, because that is the next one. Look at that. That just looks like a 4x4. Not a truck, but you get it. So take the straight ruler off. Then you got disco. Disco's cool because disco has just so many colors to it, and it just twinkles like ba-ba. And this one you could do for crystals. You can do, again, you put the ruler on, you put your ruler up, and then you go, and you got a straight line with it. And you can, there's so much there you can do. I mean, it could be like something in the water, and then you put your bubbles on top of that, and you've got like this, you got this weird, this weird fish, you know, whoa, or whatever. I don't know. I'm just making it up as I go, people. So neon pulse is the next one, and this one just kind of pulses. Oh, that's not the next one. I'm sorry. The next one is the comet. So I'm gonna just make the comet just an orange. Like, that's cool. So if you want to make, you know, after I make my city, you want to make comets coming towards Earth, you know, destroying my city. I could put fire all over my city with comets coming in, you know. But I just, the animated light was just makes this next level. And it's really cool, right? Really looks like a comet. All right, so Shiny Haul. This is a little bit of a series when it comes to these, because they're all pretty much the same. They are very similar in how they operate, but they have different textures to them. So the Shiny Haul has this, and see how I like, it kind of like, if I hold down the trigger, it moves around in this really cool way where you can just really control an interesting shape. And I use these for rocks mainly. If I were to go gray and do this, and boom, we have one rock, you know, because it just makes imperfections, it makes it look very natural and real. And then we have just a bunch of rocks. Change the color a little, change the rock color, you know. And that's shiny Hall, but if you go to your matte Hall, what do you think it does? I bet you know it makes it matte, but I use this one the most. I love using this one, and if you stay to the end, I'll show you on the guides, which I would like to go into next. But in the guides, you can use matte Hall in a small way to quite literally make a flat surface and be very controlled with it. And then unlifted is just where a lot of the light doesn't affect it, doesn't have shadow, it looks more like a cartoon. So if you're making those cartoon vibe, those cartoon looks, then we can definitely, you know, work that into your cartoon. So the next one is diamond. This one's cool because it's just like clear glass. So what I like to use this one for is the water. And if you watch my other tutorial, I had mirror. So I can put this mirror flat down, right? Come on, flat, there you go. And actually let me get rid of all these rocks real quick and make new rocks really fast here, just to show you. And then moving the mirror, you remember that tutorial. If you haven't caught that tutorial, I would suggest go back and just take a look really quick. It's a very quick one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do my matte Hall really fast, get some gray in there, and because it's the mirror, it's going to look more, you know, like water. So I can make little rocks like this, right? This is just a little quick technique. I'll have another tutorial on quick techniques, and also when I'm making stuff, I throw in those techniques, and you'll get some of that out of me overall. So I'm just kind of making just a rock formation that just looks different, and I'll use some of the shiny Hall just to have shiny rocks because they are by water. But see how it's just painting everything doubled. It's doubling everything up for me. So when I add the diamond in, let's say it's like a light blue, or it could be a pond, so it could be green. But I get rid of my mirror, I don't need that anymore, and just kind of do this. And now we've got like a little pond, you know, and it's below it, but the idea is there where it really looks like it's a reflecting surface and it looks more like water. And it just plays well, in my opinion. And you go in, you make trees and stuff the same way with the mirror, and the trees will look like they're getting reflected into this diamond kind of feel. So that's pretty much the brushes, guys, and I'm so glad you joined me. Thank you. And since you waited to the end and you've subscribed and hit the bell, right? You did that. So if you do that, you'll know when I'm making another one of these. I'm gonna have a lot coming out because I have time to do it, and it's a lot of fun, and I like sharing my techniques. So please, in the comments below, let me know what you would like to see in all this, and let me know what you use these brushes for, because you know, I'd like to know some cool stuff about it too. But yeah, so those are our brushes, guys, and now let's get into one little fun thing, and this will move us into the next tutorial, which is about our guides. The guides are one of my favorite things to do, so I'm just going to give a real quick demonstration of one of the guides and my matte Hall, because I wanted to show you how the matte Hall was working as far as the surface thing. So see how I can grab the top? All I'm doing here is I am grabbing the grip buttons on the side there, finding the top, that's not it, finding the top and the bottom at the same time. It's tricky, it gets to be tricky, but usually you hit one, grab it with the grip, then you grab the other one. Oh, see how it just all of a sudden start doing what I didn't want it to do? Oh, so there we go. So yeah, it's like an accordion. You can stretch it out this far, you can go up high, and then if you push the lock button, it locks it straight down in a way. But when you rotate that, you can incrementally switch it around and make it, and you get a little ghost image of where it's going to go. So anyway, that's kind of the guides, but let me show you how they actually work. And if you pull the guide out and you click the trigger, you pin it. So now anything I do to it, it won't affect it, and it stays in it's kind of basically locking it into place. So let's go into that one matte hull, which I love to use. And we go into, let's make this like a brown, like, shipping box or something. So it's not really round. Okay, there we go. I like to make it really small because if you make it big and you do this, it just follows the guide, but if you notice, it just really protrudes it out and it's hard to deal with. And you do it on this side, it's got this weird crease in it. Unless that's what you're going for, it's, you know, what you choose to do with it. But I like to go really thin and small with it because then it just makes it this, you'll see, just this flat surface, which is matte. But if you wanted a surface that was a little glossier, what would you use? Yeah, you know it. You would use the shiny hull, and that right there is the shiny hull, and it's got, like, you see how it kind of shines on our light source, which is over there. And I'll have a tutorial on the lighting, and I have another tutorial on the lighting, and then also on the environments. But next tutorial, stay tuned for that, and that's more on these. But thank you for sticking with me through all that. There's a lot of brushes, and it's pretty self-explanatory. Like, you get it. I mean, you guys are smart, but I just wanted to kind of give you the idea of things. And see how I'm trying to, I can't pull it. I'm using my grip, can't pull it. No, you just hit that trigger, and then you have the control. And then to get rid of these, you quite literally throw them. So, and see how it just leaves that open shell, and now you've got, like, let's say a building, a box. Like, this is a great tool. So I'm gonna get into this in the next tutorial. Thanks for sticking along with it all. Again, leave in the comments what you think I should do differently. And in the tools, let's select this and get rid of all of this. All right. Thank you guys for joining me, and stay tuned for guides next.